Private Investigations 101. Are you a new private eye? Are you planning on becoming one someday? Or are you a seasoned private investigator? Then this show is for you. Let's talk about some of the tools and equipment in the trade, tips and tricks private investigators can use, getting your business up and running, and most importantly, keeping your business alive. Today, we're going to talk about storage, recording, and communication devices. Welcome. My name is Rich Wilson, and I am a licensed private investigator. Welcome to Private Investigations 101. Recorders. Recorders are used for interviews, recorded statements, covert recordings, or cover your asset, CYA. You know what that means. Now, depending on the laws in your state, some methods of recording conversations may be illegal. Do your research, properly cover the laws that deals with recording conversations where you plan to do the same, or consult an attorney. Now, if you're a private investigator, you need a good, reliable recorder, at least one. But if you have more than one, that's great also. Now, we use recorders for several things. Civil law attorneys need recorded statements from witnesses for lawsuits. Remember that. So, an attorney may request that you record a statement and then you transcribe that statement into writing and present it to them on your letterhead, and then they will present it during their trial or pre-trial, depending on what the witness says. Those attorneys may use your statement and win their case. That's good for you, and then they will tell other attorneys about that, or you can use them as a reference. Now, attorneys who practice criminal law need witness interview. Yes, witnesses can be interviewed by private investigators. Now, sometimes these can be very tricky. If the police say that the case is ongoing, and especially if the witness is a state witness. Now, check with the attorney and do your research about this, because sometimes if the police wants to get you in trouble, they probably will. Even if the charge does not stick, they will still charge you with something. Depending on the laws in your state, some covert recordings may be considered a breach of wiretapping law. Now, this is where these come in. You might be wondering what these things are. Okay? Yes. Wiretapping law are some of the laws in your state. Now make sure you're in compliance. Do your research. Find out if you can record, and how you can record people without their knowledge. Or if it's not a one-party state, then you are not in compliance. If it is, depending on if it's done the right way, a court may accept or reject that evidence. While some knowledge comes through experience, some knowledge can be gained through training. So do some training, get some more experience. You can train yourself. You don't have to spend a whole lot of money to get this done. Remember, you are an investigator. Do your job. Investigate to find the answers. Everybody loves to use these beautiful high focal cameras. And you also need a night vision camera or a vision with night vision, a camera with night vision option. Yes, high focal cameras can be very, very handy when it comes on to doing your job as a private investigator. And you need a camera that can capture clear, clean, crisp photos and videos. Additionally, if you only have a cell phone, you can buy a monocular. And monocular lenses can be attached to your phone to get a little bit more power or reach on the distance. Now, this is not suggested if you have only one cell phone. If you notice, we will show you in future the number of cell phones that we use when we're doing surveillance. Buy a good brand monocular if you're going to use a monocular. So you must get yourself 2 good cameras, at least 2, so you're able to do good work. Having a good camera, you're able to do excellent videos, excellent photos. Remember that your client is relying on the evidence that they hired you to capture. And if you come back with crappy evidence that they cannot verify the face or the activity that you were hired to capture, then you might get paid, but your client will not be a happy camper. Get yourself at least 2 good cameras, and so you can make your client happy. Okay? Well, to complement your recording devices, you will need at least 1 monocular. You need a very good monocular that is able to, project the vision of your phone. If you cannot afford one of those expensive cameras, if you're doing a startup, get yourself a monocular. They are going on eBay and Amazon for between $40 to $100. But don't buy those little cheap ones that will fall apart when you're touching them. For instance, this one. If I turn this probably will just break into pieces. But it works. It is pretty cheap. Binoculars, important. You're able to look at things from a distance. Sometimes you need to verify something before you actually start recording. Maybe you want to see the address on a gate from a couple blocks away. Use the proper tools to get the proper results if you want to be a PI. Back when I started private investigations, there was no cell phones that could capture videos like we do use these cell phones now. And so recording devices are also a communication device through a cell phone. So cell phones are doubled. So we have several, and I'm going to get to that point where you need to understand that the same device, a cell phone, especially these modern ones, that are used to track other people. If you're hired and you're tracking a target, a cell phone can be used to track them if that person has an app on their phone, or you are able to connect to that app, or you are able to track that app based on the spouse who hires you to track that individual. If they download that app on that phone and they give you that connectivity, then you can track that individual through their cell phones. But remember, while you're tracking them, you're also being tracked, meaning that it's a possibility that you can be tracked. There are ways to find out if your phone is tapped, and I can get into that another time. So now we have one of the most recent iPhones, which is the iPhone 12 Max Plus, and we are followed that by the 11 Max Plus, and then we have another generation of iPhone, the iPhone 6. We use these phones for different reasons. So some of them are used in combination with monoculars, and we all know that monoculars can be used to enhance the focal distance of an object. And you can attach your phone through this device. Everybody is probably aware of this now, but we're just going to touch on it a little bit. You can put it on a dash, you can put it on a monopod, or you can also put it on a tripod. So learn how to use these devices, become familiar with them, make yourself an expert by practicing. Okay, so apart from these more modern cell phones, we have these older model phones. I don't know if you guys have heard of the Nokia 3100. These are 3110s. Now these phones are almost indestructible. And guess what? The most important things about these little cell phones, they cannot be tracked. Untraceable in terms of no one can track you when you're using these cell phones. CDMA technology is what they use. And so if you can find a provider that will allow you to connect your phones via a CDMA technology, and these days these phone bills are not quite expensive. Now you can get 4 phones on a phone plan for probably $125 or probably less, depending on what you're using your phone for. And these 3 phones, you can probably get them for $50 on the same plan. And you use them to communicate with your team. If you don't want to use cell phones, that's fine. You can have 1 or 2 phones if that's what you need. And you can use two-way radios. Two-way radios is another form of communication, which back then is mostly what we used. And then you have to buy a camera to take pictures. Now you can use a phone to do both of those things. But it is good to have these. So you're not using up a data plan if you do have that, or you're not using up too much battery power, or you don't have to be confined to one form of communication. Find yourself a set of two-way radios. Some of them require that you have to have a provider, some of them don't. They have a max range of whatever distance this is. Some of them have to be in a straight line, some of them can go up over and above or through buildings. Just do your research, find out what you need, and you can get the best asset to help you in your business. Another recording device is body cameras. Oh yes, I love these. Now, there's several uses for body cameras. Number one, you're going to wear them on the outside of your clothing, so whatever state you're in, it is legal. But some states you have to tell an individual that you are audio and video recording. Even the police sometimes, yes. But body cameras come in handy if and when you're following someone. That's a possibility that you are covert and you can actually hide that camera underneath a piece of clothing. Or if you're in doing static or mobile surveillance and you're pulled over by the police. And I will give you a typical example. If you're wearing a body camera and you're pulled over by a police officer, even when you flash your ID badge or your ID card and you said, hey, I'm a private investigator, I'm just doing a job. Sometimes, based on that officer's mood, experience, and his temperament, he might still want to give you some trouble. If the officer decides to give you some trouble and you are recording with your cell phone and you step and he commands you and orders you out of your vehicle, you come out with your body camera recording, there's a possibility that they will say, hey, put that cell phone down. If you're recording with your cell phone, I do not want anything in your hands. That means that they are thinking that you're going to use your phone as a weapon. The body camera comes in handy. It is on your person. You hold your hand up. You do what you need to do. If you are in that position, they have no need to remove the body camera from your clothing. If they do so, especially if they're not wearing one, and it's just sometimes difficult to get that recording for yourself. If they're not wearing a body camera, why would they want to remove yours? They should be welcoming to the fact that you're recording the interaction. It will save you. It will save them if someone does something that is illegal, including you. So get yourself at least one good body camera and make sure that it has enough memory to last at least an entire day. Bring a charger with you if in fact that you are thinking that you might run out of battery power. And it is safe to run your body camera from beginning of your surveillance to the end of your surveillance. If you do not have a body camera, make sure that you have dash cams and a good dash camera that will record everything inside and outside of your vehicle. A brand new private investigator may not be able to afford a technical drones, but if you have the know-how, the capability, and you can afford it, go ahead, buy yourself a drone. This drone has come handy for us many times, and it is work with a cell phone. You download the app on it and you just put it on your controller and you go ahead and do so. But it is mostly used when we are out in the open, like at a park or in a wider area, and it's mostly used to actually spot or identify or to verify the location or the constant presence of the target. Get yourself a drone. It is possible that it might come in handy. Buy a second-hand one, from a drone enthusiast who's down upgrading, and help yourself, build your repertoire. And you can advertise with your drone too. Take pictures, videos, surveillance from above, and put it on your website. You can also, you can you can come up with very creative ways of using your drone. So I'm going to touch on two things before we close this segment. I did briefly mention these voice recorders. I have several types. I have 3 types right here, but I did not touch on what you do with your information after you captured it with your cell phones or your cameras. You bring it back to your office, whether it be your home office or your business office, and you download it to your computer. Now, remember that computers can be hacked, and computers contract viruses sometimes, and they will crash. I'm not asking you. We have several computers in our office, and at least all of them have crashed at least once in the last 5 to 8 years. And if we did not have what we call a external hard drive. Now, this external hard drive is 3 terabytes. Each year I increase the size, and what you can do is every time you're using your computer, make sure you connect your hard drive, your external hard drive, to the computer, and it backs up the files. Okay, just in case your computer crashes, remember that your files are important. Sometimes your clients will come back and ask you for this and ask you for that. Yes, you might charge them a fee. Sometimes you don't, but you have to keep that information secured. If you don't have cloud storage, and sometimes if you're a new investigator, the cloud storage might become a little pricey for you. So invest in a nice external hard drive, quality one, and then you can preserve your own data. So these two are voice activated recorders, and at least one of them lasts for 8 to 10 days, fully charged. They do not need an external power supply, but this one, as you can see, I've got a USB cord to it. This one needs an external power supply. This is a mini camera. We've got several of these cameras, and I can tell you some of the purposes that these cameras serve. So you connect it to a small battery pack, and you put it where you want to put it, in bushes, put a magnet on this side, and you can stuck it to a mailbox across the street, or to gutters or something. And I'll give you an example of when I actually used this last. So private investigators sometimes do process service. We are licensed process servers, and so whilst I was trying to serve this gentleman, he kept avoiding service. I was never able to catch him going in or out of his house, but I knew that he was going in and out because his mailbox was always empty. I've seen mail being dropped off there. I've seen mail, the mail person going down the street, and then I see mail, then the next day the mail was gone. So it's either a neighbor that was removing that mail, or the owner of the house was moving the mail. So I set up my motion detector recorder, attached my power supply to it, and set it up in the bushes, and lo and behold, he would do so at night, and he would leave up very early in the morning when I did not even start stirring as yet. But I'm sure this guy is working probably 9 o'clock, but he gets up at 5:30, and he will out the door before 6 a.m. And so the next morning, after retrieving this and figuring out his routine, I was there ready to serve him, and he was served. So these things can come in pretty handy. This one, pretty good. Others, you can wear them, you can put them in clothing, you can put them in your bag, backpack, you can put them in something, and they will record. You can leave them somewhere under a bench or wherever you choose. Private investigators, be safe. All right, so I won't call this any particular name, but it can be used as a dash cam. It can be used as a surveillance cam. If you put it on your window, there's a suction cup, put it on your window and have it pointed out this way or that way. In addition to having something like this, remember, you should, as a private investigator, every vehicle that you use for surveillance, have a hard-wired dash cam or two inside your vehicle. In all our vehicles, we have 4 lenses, 2 cameras, 4 lenses. So we have 1 camera in the front, 1 camera in the back. The front camera has a forward-facing lens and a rear-facing lens. The back camera in the rear windshield has a back-facing lens and a forward-facing lens showing the cab of the vehicle. So if ever something happens inside that vehicle to either of the investigators, it is captured. And don't forget one of the most trusted tools of a PI, your binoculars. Every private investigator must have these. I think this is considered one of the, what do you call that? Signature tools. You see somebody looking down on binocular, you said, ha, must be a PI or a spy. Okay, well, for now, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. And next time, we hope to see you. Subscribe for more of this wonderful information that you can gain from these interactions. We hope that you will leave your comments, questions, suggestions in the comment section. Don't be afraid to ask questions, and if you have additional information on the use of any of the equipment or tools that was mentioned in this video, I'm willing to learn. Private investigations, just like lawyers and doctors, is a practice. The practice of private investigations is one of those things that you always have a room for improvement. So you're learning as you go along, and sometimes you learn through independent studies, or you learn from each other. Thank you for tuning in. Have a wonderful day. So that covers our video on storage, recording, and communication devices. Join us next time for many more exciting videos.